There's plenty of them. Do you want me to make a list now?
Well, no, that's me naming a thing I love to see. Hey, they talked about bans on the table and the board, but a Nook is, I don't think, on anybody's prediction sheet here for a removal in terms of expected.
This indicates an information-heavy playstyle from MIBR. Expect lots of bulletproof cameras to come through. Valkyrie, if she is available, let's say, you know, let's put a Maestro into the mix as well. There is plenty of operators that do have these cameras and can be used, and bringing that Nook could be an easy way around it.
That's to the surprise of nobody. The Hibana Valkyrie, a pretty consistent ban record from FaZe. They know what they like to remove, and they know that it's those two. But here, the Mirror as the only real stretch that I think we're getting is the Nook. But again, when you have two teams that are very familiar, and you have two teams with an idea of how they like to attack, you're gonna see those sort of interesting pullouts. But otherwise, this is a pretty familiar set of removals.
It definitely is. I mean, the Valkyrie is, of course, default at this point. You do not want to be dealing with those cameras on a map as big as Bank. And Hibana, of course, thinking about those hatches, a crucial operator to remove. Now, luckily with the Heartbreach gadgets that have been introduced a while ago now, it becomes a lot easier to actually start opening up. And there's, you know, plenty of operators that have access to them. And Buck, for example, is one of them who could open up these hatches. Zero as well, but has been six-picked out to the Ossa, which, of course, provides some extra security if you want to go for these plans. That is what I like to see her being used for the most.
They did talk about Ossa on the table. They talked about what she might be able to bring to this and how she might face herself into this engagement and the possibility of her even being removed and banned. She sort of had a bit of a showing throughout the tournament. I am very curious to see the statistics at the end of all of the removals and the plays and how the meta shapes, because for me, attack is in still just such a good moment, and I'm excited to see how it changes with attacker repicking as well, because it really changes up how much you can sort of set yourself onto.
It would definitely do, and I think some of the issues we've had with MIBR, of course, where they brought a Thermite, where a Ace would have been better suited, those issues are, of course, going to be fixed by them. So theoretically, you should have the perfect lineup on the attack for any given situation proposed to you by the defensive side. Either way, we're getting underway, and it's CyberZero that will be opening up quite quickly here onto the top of square, looking to take some control, but doesn't quite want to repel in yet. It is a dangerous thing to do, especially if you're not quite sure if the archives have been secured. There is a roam game currently going on the side of MIBR. We have Luke all the way on the top floor, Philippox one below, and these drones have not been able to isolate them as of yet. And as long as these two players go unseen, unnoticed, they'll be able to wreak havoc later on.
There is obviously the control of intel. You talked about the removal of Nook being an important part. Can't get the angle on that, but they're just going to throw that grenade over to the opposite side and make sure they don't get swung out. And Reduct waits for it to pass and then try to go in behind it, but the Repel on the far side, all the way at the top of the lobby, almost caught them out here. Cameraman is peppering towards that castle. Philippox just pulls himself a little bit further away. The hatch isn't quite open yet, and he's not quite entirely safe, but if he can put the attention here onto gold, well, Philippox is going to try and get himself out of there, maybe go for a bit of a width, but that entirely, the control and the lockdown there across the windows of lobby, just so Cameraman can sort of man on a mission, get that hatch open. It's worked wonders. He's inside.
Yeah, and it's only up to Raps and Files now. They are the only two players in the site, and they have no clue that this man has dropped in. The pressure is coming in from the garage as well. Bullet is looking to find an angle close in the corner. If he finds the first, as he does, he spots the second. It's side control for FaZe. The hatches are open, but it doesn't matter as Astro picks up that first, and it's a 2-on-5 situation now. They went heavy on the roam and have been saying it all tournament. As soon as you realize that, please just hit the side, and it's exactly what they do. They got the entry, they got the plans, and now a 2v4 retake of MIBR needs to happen.
Couldn't quite get the full connection there. Cameraman's able to swing around, tucked on a corner, and take the tail end of Philippox out. Lukiad, they know exactly where he is, and they know he doesn't have many places he can go. apart from out of this round. And as you said it, FaZe, I mean, I love that take. I love that because it's not going to work twice, but they read that so well. They said, well, we know that they've got this hold here and this door is soft. So as soon as they go for the hatch, there's probably going to be a swing through the first grenade down to that door to buy himself the second to get himself dug in. And then from that point onwards, the cover on that door from the rappel meant that they could pop that hatch in. Maybe didn't expect the confidence, the bravado to take the drop and take the site itself, but that is what leads to success. And also the kill up the hatch here.
Yeah. Beautiful indeed. The plan's coming through in the end, and just FaZe locking it off. A very quick round from them. Well realized what was going on exactly. And as we're having a technical timeout at this moment, some issues are being resolved. As everybody seems to be back in, we will shortly get underway with round number 2, which again seems to be Lockers deciding to go for the run it back strategy, which does not always work out, but sometimes it does. And if it does, then you got that round win. And you continue your rotation as everybody's starting to hype it up a little bit there. Not sure if the viewers heard that at home.
I don't even know if that was from the stage or the practice area at this point. But in a second, when we are back in, because we can see the operators they've selected, but we'll wait until you can to make us sound like we're making a little bit more sense, because there has been changes. There has been a new idea and a lineup that's brought by MIBR that will break down in just a moment. And that moment is now. Hey, Castle's gone. Hey, that stretch of that big extension is likely gone. You missed it, but that also was originally a Monty, so they baited one shield for a different style of shield play. But I think the changes from the side of MIBR are probably going to be much more impactful in terms of our expectations of how the round is going to go compared to the last one.
Yeah, so we don't see too many changes on FaZe. Of course, there was a 6-pick from that Monty to the Ossa, but the Ossa, of course, present in that previous round as well. Not really having any big uses, considering they just rushed aside and managed to successfully take it as well. It is again going to be a bit of a roam here. Redux and Philipox currently offside together with Lukit as well up onto that top floor. A very similar approach here. And as FaZe drops down into the tunnel this time with 2 members, they might be able to quickly push through if they find Falz, who is currently playing near the server stack. It is a shield, it is drones that come through as well, and a shotgun on the other side of it, together with 3 or 2 more smoke canisters to stop this from happening.
I was going to say it's a pre-placed here, and they're waiting for that swing round. And there it goes. Ossa is stopped on the door. They maybe expected somebody to swing around on the shoulder, but it's Bullet on the stairs. The drone goes ahead, and there is an easy pickup for Bullet. Reduct bites back, drops Cameraman, keeps a little bit of control, but you lose the smoke that early. You lose control of that side of the site. Now it's just Raps seeing if they can keep that door locked. And, well, Ossa has a different idea. They've been able to get the shield all the way in, and the diffuser's not with her for now, but still, if they can somehow get a second one down, it just takes Souls being able to breach that soft potentially in a delicate way so they don't pop the shield, and they have a free sort of extension outside of an Echo drone and 2 C4s.
Not even that, it can just start running in at this moment in time as Lukit gets one. However, it's a good start for the side of MIBR to retake some control. That puts up a little bit of worry here that someone could be coming up from above, but as the hatch has been reinforced, that means that they cannot quite get a response in. However, a pulled C4 on the side of Redux will be responding as soon as this plant goes through. As it comes in, they probably don't have a clue. And with 2 seconds left on the clock, they might not know either.
No, it wasn't that. It was a fantastically played grenade. They bounced the grenade down towards that gold corner side just as they swung, and Redux had to pull back, and suddenly it's sprayed in the post plant, but it's Philipox down on the blue stairs, caught out. And it's still a back and forth, but over the top of that irritating plexiglass, they're waiting for a pop-up, but there's nothing you can do. FaZe, with very well played and placed utilities, stopped MIBR being able to bite back at that shield placement. And for all the times this tournament, I know you've said this is what Ossa can do.
This is exactly what she should
do. Is what Ossa can do.
This is how I envisioned or the gadget to be useful. You place it down, you go for a plan behind it, and you still have the vision, or you shatter it so they have no clue. And by that grenade that you mentioned, forced to go off, not able to toss in a nitrocell, or it could have cost him his life. It is now 2-0 for FaZe. They start off strong here after a weak ending to Chalet. And the next side, they'll attack. is going to be the open area. Second left on the big phase here, and we're starting, as you can see on the screen of the MIBR members. And it started off again with an early pick. There was a member able to just sneak in from the blue stairs all the way towards server and catch off the smoke, catch off fouls. That is one of the most important anchors of the board.
It's worth mentioning the second Oster shield as well. It was just at the bottom of blue, which is why they went for the C4 take rather than being able to take that gunfight because, well, it's so awkward. They know the second they're going to pop up, you have no idea, and they can read and pre-place their crosshair as tight as they like. And that is just really, really well played utility. And again, that grenade, and again, it just comes together. FaZe off to a pretty rip-roaring start here so far. The first was a fantastic pocket strategy, which they knew would play against the hold. The second, well, it was just a team playing a game and making sure they locked it in. Here, MIBR, they've opted for open. They've pulled themselves elsewhere. They have to stretch up to the top, and, well, they haven't been so hard on their defense so far, but Bank is one where you kind of expect it to have a little bit more back and forth about it.
For sure, 2-0. Currently, FaZe is starting strong, and they need to after the momentum lost. Now, there is some barricades here tossed up by MIBR, just to waste a little bit of time. It's not going to be too much. The bigger worry might be the cameraman just lost 60 bullets and only has 120 left in this moment in time. I know it's still a lot, but it could be potentially him running out of ammo at some point. Banshees are being taken out as they want to take control of Archives. This bullet that starts descending, some pings came through, and he knows he's not being spotted by cameraman instead. He's just going to force himself through and pick up the actual first kill. Reduct drops the hatch as he finds contact, but it's going to be another kill potentially to come through from cameraman. He's going quite aggressive here. Two members on the side of MIBR on those main stairs.
That's it. Reduct now. He's rotated his way back up green. He's going to see if he can just hold the angle with Raps on the opposite side. There is still Lukid above, and there's the spray, there's the pressure, and there's not quite a misconnection. And he'll be kicking himself over that if that was a free kill, and that was the possibility to pull the body balance back in when they still obviously have Buck, who's, to be fair, elsewhere, going on a big hunt underneath the bottom of the staircase. Reduct, well, he's going up instead, or he's sort of toying with the idea. Pep is a little bit too high and just slips out, but it allows Lukid to slip his way in. Takes over Tellers before he's knocked out from Cyber, who actually found one more. In the meantime, Lukid is down. It is just Falls suddenly left inside the site. FaZe just entirely wrapped around that attempted retake, whether they meant to or not. It has entirely come out on their favor, and the first on Beepers goes by the fight on the hop-in window, but the swing round on the opposite side wasn't quite the connection. 3-0.
All four angles were being held at that moment in time. We have one from that window that went for the jump in, one that moved in from Beepers, kitchen door, and the small office. The push was coming from everywhere. There was no way you were going to be able to stop that at that moment in time. And now 3 is the scoreline. FaZe have 3 in a row yet once more. And they're doing it with a fashion like MIBR was able to do on Chalet and shut down FaZe in that second half. Yes, Lukid able to go for a great flank here, shut down at least one. But Cyber already from below, able to pick up 2 of his own. And MIBR is just trailing, is just trying to grasp onto something here. Whereas FaZe is starting to fire up, and they're starting to let those emotions get louder and louder, because they know, as the Famouses are coming out, that they're getting very close to potentially facing TSM tomorrow.
Up to CEO. They're going to keep changing sites over the past. They're not going to double down on anything they've done before. MIBR, they're still not taking a timeout. They are still sort of hoping they can pull at least one of these in. And to be fair, between these two teams, we've often seen them take their timeout after a success, after a round they've got locked in. Lukid bringing the Warden. It's been a big play for them on previous maps and previous engagements. They were able to sort of lock down some of the approach that came across from FaZe, but to be fair, on this map, FaZe has pulled away from those smoke takes, the Ying capabilities. Instead, they're going for these great holds. There's huge rotations. They're fully exploring the stretches that Bank offers. It is, in its own weird way, a big map, but it has these little snaky routes you can suddenly appear at the bottom of without really anybody having a sense or a smell of you.
Now, the fact that it's a big map is also the danger if you're looking at this map, this matchup so far. FaZe realize where they are understaffed and they just hunt that position down. They take it under control, and suddenly MIBR members, they are too far away of making it in time to potentially stall that push, because by the time FaZe is done with that, they got the bomb already, or the diffuser already on the ground. And then the MIBR members are starting to siphon back into that site. So they need to make sure that they are all closely packed together here. And that's exactly what they're doing on this top floor. Redux, the first point of contact, has some discs to his disposal, is going to be protecting his own shield and life with that. However, as Souls will be opening up the wall, he gets swung on. It's Redux with the very first kill, almost loses his life in the result, but that's the heart breacher gone. That's the most important part as they go for another trade.
There it is. It's locked in right now. Luke could make sure he's doing a bit of work, and maybe the Warden won't be so effective against the utility, but he's very effective against the players itself. Something MPX's, Latin America teams, and Bank. The Bulletproof just caught out. No, Luke is protecting that too. From deep, he's able to take care of another player here. And FaZe, they've tried to go for that quick entrance, that lockdown around these loose players, but this time it has not come to fruition. And, well, maybe you've been able to get to the other side of box. There's an Echo drone that you assume got taken out as it went for that ping, but the canister stops the swing round behind it. They're cautious of somebody trying to retake.
Now the diffuser has been dropped, and as Bullet is preparing a grenade over the top, he is hoping to pick up a kill behind the desk. It's not going to be doing that. It's actually going to get swung on here by FaZe, who gets the down and will confirm it as well as wraps to the very final kill. And MIBR to pick up a round here. The fourth one off the map is going their way. The worry with this is, however, is that CAO is now locked for the rest of the game until we reach overtime. They're not able to go back towards it, and that means they need to find wins on two separate occasions on two new sites that they haven't won before. And as they win the round, they call a tactical timeout. Yeah, once more, to quickly stall any potential comeback that FaZe might mount and to really harness the potential momentum that they are looking to build up.
As I said, it's been a trend throughout this series. I wouldn't have it off record with my knowledge now to be able to tell you if it's been a trend throughout the whole competition, but definitely in this series has been between these two teams. They get success and then they talk about how they can build behind it. They ensure that they can go over what they believe potentially was what let it in, or how they can ensure that the pace of the game is theirs. It could be on that sort of break where they say, well, listen, we now have a bit of control. Let's let them stew in that for a second, and let's sit in this moment and say, well, it's ours now, and this is how we're going to lock it out. And obviously, as you said, they cannot go back to the top floor. They have every other site available to them, based on only being able to pull one defense. And if I'm going to quote map statistics for the others, I believe Bank is still one where if you're on the 4-2 split once again, you're not looking too shabby.
No, you definitely won't be looking too shabby here. And maybe they use that tactical timeout as well. Okay, boys, we lost these next two signs that we need to play. We need to win. This is what happened. This is what we need to improve on. And, you know, instead of going open area first, which is what they seem to lock in, they swapped in the middle of that tactical timeout towards lockers, towards that basement. So they will feel more comfortable and more, you know, sure of the fact that they can win this bottom floor push. This time around, no Asa on the board. So they're not going to be able to sneak in a plant very quietly, as MIBR is nothing available to themselves to stop it. I mean, last time they had those yokais, but they were in a position for the default plant, not for the Osa plant. And the C4 that was being pulled was countered by a grenade that was perfectly tossed in. I'm not quite sure, did he get the C4 in the end, or was it just him having to fall back because of the indicator?
I believe he had to fall back. I don't remember it being ripped and torn, to my knowledge. It was a grenade that took half of his health. Yeah. And it was sort of bounced into the corner, so he probably swung into it as it was about to go and saw the red and pulled himself back off the step. But that's the sort of stuff that you'd have to go back and see the replays on to get the full taste of just out of the thread. All I know is that is exactly where it went, because that Mozzie could not get that clarity that he wanted to hear. As you said, FaZe, they do not have the Osa. They still have the Zero, which, you know, we've sort of highlighted in previous games. Where I love the control that it can offer. It gives you so much width on a map like Bank. I think here in Chalet is where he's sort of at his strongest, with a huge lobby space and many angles you can dig those cameras in without them being caught out. And whether that's something that's directly leading into the pushes here of Astro, or it's just these pre-placed drones, they seem to have a really good idea on where MIBR are sort of setting themselves up.
He really snuck himself into the printer window there, just crawling next to it, droning out the main stairs, looking if he can find himself an entry towards the site, but also looking if he can cut off any of the roamers. Of course, currently none on the board. MIBR is playing it close to the site, as that brought them success on CEO. They start dropping, they start preparing, the hatches are being opened up, and as we have 2 players inside of the server area, if the hatch will be opened up onto the actual A bomb site, suddenly they are stuck. But that does open up a potential for a flank for them, as that might be more successful.
Trying to get this hatch open, obviously, with the Kaid on the board. The Thermite isn't going to have the truest taste of what he can do here, but the Maverick, he's at least able to show up. A little bit more needs to be done onto this, and then it will drop and give them the chance of a swing round of utility. A minute 28 left, and now they're going to see if they can get the second, but there's only so much in those canisters, so the grenade clarity is what's going to hopefully get this claw, and then from that on, the Thermite can show up.
They want to use at least some form of utility on opening up that hatch so they can force Lukid out of his current position. Of course, he already did descend those stairs quite a bit, but as he heads back up, it's Cameraman actually pushing in from the third tunnel. This way, they're going to try and put up pressure from 2 different sides, and as a Nitro Cell gets torn and blown, it is his own shield that falls as a result. So pressure comes through, it's a shotgun shell versus a grenade and some bullets from the ARX, and it's Bullet that picks up the very first kill of the round. With that, it's FaZe yet again with a lead in.
Yeah, you could see Cameraman, they obviously had the drone with the intel, he was going for the C4, they just bounced that grenade to the bottom of the stairs, not fully cooked, but the canister doesn't quite fully connect here, and Cameraman has this angle, shoots out the C4, and Skeet shooting comes in handy, but the Echo drone slows it down, and that second canister does stop it this time. That utility has just worked a little bit longer for MIBR, but as the kills start to come over the top, it's one more chance at a long arm, 2 more players, only one down to a smoke that once again has stopped the plant, so FaZe push up, take bodies, take a 4th round.
And they took it flawlessly, and with that, FaZe are leading still 4-1. You just said it before, a 4-2 split. Not too shabby. Well, what about a 5-1? That could be an absolute statement for the rest of this game, for the rest of this map. Potentially for TSM later on as well. FaZe wants to make the difference here. FaZe wants to make sure that they lock out this half with as many rounds as they possibly can. And it all started here. The opening up onto the blue stairs. A grenade tossed in to try and, well, either force him to fall back where he would have been picked up by the Maverick of Cameraman. But instead it was Bullet that took the fight instead. And a flawless round in the end there to lock it off. FaZe successful. So what a guy is being called out.
What a guy.
What a guy it was indeed. Cyber with a multi-kill to land the round. An open area will be attempted yet once more. A side that was also won by the side of FaZe. It came down to an aggressive take of Archives where a lot of gunfights went either way, but in the end FaZe came out on top. Managed to isolate the last player on the side and shut him down as a result as well. And that gives MIBR something to think about here. Of course, Lukid jumped down. He's probably not going to be allowed to do that again as they realize that the hard way on the side of FaZe. So they might go for a top-down approach here. But they need to make sure it doesn't cost them too much time because you still need it at the end of it. If there is going to be a Yokai on the board, if there is going to be Nitro Cells on the board, you need to waste that utility.
Amaru, what are you gonna do? There are obviously hatches that lead straight into the site, and those hatches can be quite protected based on either that already opened one that's tucked in on the small box or the one that's just on the corner. They might try and break some audio, as we've seen them push before, and cover the sound of an Amaru that decides to hop up. That breaching charge, the reason it's there, if you're confused, is it will get that soft on the door as well and give you that range and rotation. And again, you can activate it from anywhere, so again, it might be something to cover a sound. Oh, Cameraman, what are we about to see from you? Is that big question mark on the top here. There it is. There's the exothermic. There's the drone. Up and caught on a drone, but no! Falls just off, but Astro has that trade back. He's found himself inside the site from the hopping on the printer window. He's waiting for either a little bit of resistance or a little bit of support, but he's in that weird little moment between either has really hit the ground. Philippox, he's locked in the small box, and Souls is going to see if he can stick it. In the meantime, they don't have an awareness, and as the rotation comes through. The cover in the pre-fire, but they've missed the angle, and now it's suddenly a much shorter round. Reduct and Soul suffer either side. The drop on the zero cam, and just Felipox left. FaZe, they may not have had the surprise strike with the Amaru, but they made sure that second swing was right for the bleachers.
They went for the rush there, they went for the quick play. The Amaru went up, unfortunately not able to pick up the Echo, who just went on his drone, but the refrag was there, and that's important. Suddenly all the utility that they had to stop that diffuser was nowhere near the site. It goes down 45 seconds. Cyber was hiding inside the elevator, cutting off any of the rotations back towards the site. So, as a result, you just take the fight with those remaining on the side, and FaZe find themselves in a 1-5 lead, only needing 2 more rounds to make it to the under-bracket final against TSM.
There it was. The instant pick back up there was so important. The cover that came through on a bold play, and I adore watching these attacks come together. They are just everything that I love about Siege, and although it is 2 teams that obviously we've said do know each other, they're not the most common of foes on the grandest stage. They're not always butting heads. They have one of the shortest records in terms of Latin America teams that were here against each other that we can pull from, but still, these little creative attacks that FaZe have been running, the way MIBR have been trying to battle them back, I think this is some of the best attack we've seen from FaZe over this map so far.
It definitely is, and it's not just that round in round 6 we saw, but if you remember round 1, they just completely decided to ignore every single roamer on the map and just hit the side directly in some quick fashion. Second round, they decided to also ignore all the roamers, head for CCTV, take down the control, go for an offset plan. FaZe decided and saw that MIBR is kind of weak against their quick pushes, and that's exactly what they managed to successfully pull off. However, now they need to be wary of the fact that they're on defense, and when they were on Chalet, that didn't go well at all. They did win none at the end, and Lukid gets the first kill. It's an opening onto Cyber. I'm not quite sure if he went for a jump out.
He did.
But that one is locked off. And of course, FaZe has that luxury where they can throw some bodies at MIBR now. They can throw some crazy round openings here. And if he would have been able to be successful and pick up Lukid, suddenly that could have been a FaZe round already.
Well, the thing about that jump out in particular as well is it's not just the jump out that matters, but depending on if you can slip away towards either the reinforced brick wall on the far side, you force a restructure. You waste another 20 seconds, 30 seconds of these players, because it's, if you're not already in the angle to strike back, it's a big loss. There's Cameraman. He's able to find Felipox on the entrance and keep Felipox entirely out of this game so far. Has not been able to have an impact, and as the player with his caliber, well, this is the moment where he needs things like this. Wraps, bites back, strikes with the Finker, is able to take a little bit of revenge, and Cameraman's dropped himself back towards the site.
Now, no one is currently up on the Archives side, as Raps is still trying to figure out if there's a roamer. Yes, there is, as Cameraman has just descended the staircases here, and the remaining 2 members of FaZe are starting to, well, fortify their side a little bit. Drones are active at this moment in time, and Falls is starting to open up into the small side office as well. That will be heard, and Astro is looking to go quite aggressive through the hole that has just been made. And as he goes through all the way into Archives, it's Reduct that picks up the kill, brings it to a 4-on-2, a 2-man advantage here on the side of FaZe.
Cameraman wants to get a bit of revenge now. He spills himself into Archives, and what he's got written down is a freebie in just a second. He's waiting, and there it is. The patience to see if he could strike a second over the shoulder, but was not gifted with that. The drone, it was finished doing, and Cameraman, well, he had other places to be. Now has to pop a super shorty angle and see if he can lock down Souls inside the site, and they know roughly where he is, but the hot pings push that pressure back onto MIBR. Doesn't have the confidence to go for that full confident swing, and you can see the stack up that's coming otherwise on the back of the chassis. Either side of Souls, it's Cameraman round on Beeper's door with a huge spray just to stop them being able to have the confidence to stick that kit down, and they are doing everything to make these doors, these entrances as uncomfortable. Cameraman's gone above. He's ready to drop this hatch and go for a huge take round on the back, but doesn't quite get the full connection. They don't know he's there though, and it's Souls that gets that opener, and from deep, Cameraman still just does enough to bite, but dropping out, keeping that advantage, seeing if they can stop the plant, which is already not in anyone's hand. MIBR, they're a little bit lost in the sauce. Got to get the pickup and see if they can stick it in the cover on the Maestro. He has 1 door, 1 option, and continual hot pings, but it's just the diffuser that he's able to get down the second after And now, gonna do enough to try and take that player down, stopping. Oh no, do not do that with a camera. He says he's still got the Elder, and Raps is on a sliver of health and a consistent red ping behind the chassis. All the pressure in the world, and a Pokeball bit too. Over the top, everything is against Raps, but he still finds it.
Raps able to hold on to the round there. He was zapped to low HP. The camera still alive after that. It was impact grenades tossed at him. It's an Alda with 80 bullets just spraying his way, but he manages to live for now. And a 2v5, and for a while, even though they had a massive advantage over FaZe, it looked like it could have been going their way, but due to the Maestro coming around the corner, not quite spotting the player on the plant, it went MIBR's way, and they find the first, just like they found the first kill in that round, which was an aggressive jump out from Cyber. And after that, Reduct, able to look out the archives, was quickly taken out afterwards as well, but this kill, so important, just unaware of the fact that the plan was going through.
Cameraman and Souls did so much to keep that kit alive. They did so much as the two players on the site just to keep putting those little sticks between the spokes of MIBR's wheels as they tried to roll it into the site. And I mean, dodge, dive, duck, dip, and weave, and you find a round. And there's some shouting between the two teams. It is the third map.
It is the third map, and FaZe needed a bigger stick to put between the spokes during that round, unfortunately unable to lock it up. If only one of those impacts would have hit. If only one of them would have been a little bit further to the right, or if the camera was reactivated to take those last couple of shots. And FaZe would have been at a map and match point now. FaZe still has plenty of rounds, however, to close this out. They have a massive lead, and even though they lost that very first, it could be partially to be blamed due to that aggressive jump out at the start, which granted an opening kill to MIBR, and we all know how important the opening kills have been in the series. This match as well, this map as well, all 7 opening kills were translated into rounds, converted into those wins, which puts us at that 2-5 mark. FaZe looking to find that first kill. Thus, as MIBR is trying to get some information with these drones so they know where they need to strike from. The top floor is slowly being taken under control as a hatch gets opened up. No one in that open area, however, as most of the FaZe members have fallen back towards the side. They're just trying to waste some time. They got spotted on drones. They start falling back after they take them out, and that means everything needs to be redroned again.
Well, Luca, he's getting himself down on those white stairs. He's seeing if he can put some presence in, but here's the Maverick that might start rolling some grenades that, as you can see, instantly forces a couple of FaZe players to fall to new positions. They were kind of aggressive on the door there, but they've realized that aggression is probably going to cost them sooner rather than later, apart from Cameraman, who was looking for a fight, angling from the verticality, or the reverse of it. But here, MIBR, they're free across these top floors to start their setup here, and FaZe, they're just being pushed a little bit further back into the site. They're waiting for the engagement, but otherwise it's just a long wait.
It's going to be a long wait indeed. 80 seconds left. There's a little bit of damage done on elsewhere on the Maverick as the hatch that now gets opened up. One of them, at least. The second one is still being worked on, and with those 70 seconds on that clock, there is not much time. MIBR, they need to decide if they want to go for just a full-out take and force into the site here. If you look at the utility they have available to themselves, there is going to be 3 flashbangs and 6 grenades they could try and, first of all, dislocate Cameraman with, because he is in a crucial position here behind the server stack. If he manages to hold on for just a little bit longer, he can definitely change this round. And as the drones are coming through, and so does the adrenaline surge, as Raps that wants to go for this very first gunfight, but the flashbangs, they need to lead in. A grenade gets tossed in right after. If you don't need to take the fight, you won't take it, but it's going to be the shield that gets removed instead. The second one will, however, down him, and FaZe will confirm the kill.
But 30 seconds, he did a huge amount to waste some time there, and Cameraman has been this consistent problem. Now it's seeing if they can actually get the lock-in on the site, but look, canisters and C4s. The door is locked and a man is hopped up on a table, making sure that you get anywhere close, you're in danger. You've got to go for a huge pickup, but you got 15 seconds in the kit, mate. You have to try and force this door in the fight on the far side. Reduct goes for a swing. Lukin with one more. No diffuser in pocket. It has to be the kill on the final players. Will he be able to make the distance count? Picked up and held F just in time. Bullet in the last engagement there. Swings round either side. It's a big fight, and Philippox is caught. And there it is, a post-blood, but it's somehow Reduct! How does he find that with nothing other than the plucky idea of I'm gonna cake this?
It took a little bit too much time there in the end to get that final 1v1 in the garage. And so it just continues to develop. MIBR getting back into this game one round at a time. And here we find ourselves at a 3-5 scoreline, which was supposed to be a little bit of a clear-cut game. And now a tactical timeout is being called by the side of FaZe, because this is 2 rounds now that slip away from them. 2 rounds where they were able to at least put themselves in a good position, and 2 rounds where they weren't able to close. And all they need is 2 rounds.
Oh, it was so close. It was so close, but it's been, as you said, the story of the past 2 rounds. So close does not a round make. And it is those little slivers, that plucky attitude MIBR has had this entire tournament of refusing to lose. They refuse to admit a round is done. And that drive of we can still make this has just netted them 2 rounds in a row.
Now, if you're a FaZe fan, do not be worried yet. We all know how Chalet went, but they looked absolutely lost on Chalet. FaZe, that was. MIBR completely shut them out, decimated them over there. These rounds are a lot closer, coming down to these last 2v2s, 1v1s in the end, where, you know, in the end, it is just MIBR pulling it out. But it's starting to irritate you at some point. That's the second 1v1 that should have been won, but was lost in the end. And that is 2 rounds MIBR have taken away from your 4-round lead, reducing it to only 2. And again, I will tell you, the only rounds that FaZe need is 2. 1 more, and they're on match series points. 2 more, and they managed to confirm it. And MIBR, again, refusing to die.
Philippox found his first that round as well, and if it's the spark that starts a player that's otherwise been missing in this map, at least in terms of getting aggression, but getting on the attack, it's a different drive, it's a different part, rather than being on the defense. It could be a factor for MIBR to build it behind here. Otherwise, as I said, I mean, the game isn't done, it isn't over, it feels like it's just starting somehow. And this has been every map. This has been everything that we wanted from this series, because it's 2 teams that have shown up, and they're still showing up. And at the start, I said I wanted to see them turn into diamonds, and we're getting that.
We are starting to get there indeed. MIBR again wondering if there will be another jump out coming through from any of the FaZe Clan players, but they've tried that before and it didn't quite work out. And they saw their lead of 4 rounds turn into 2. It's got halved. And MIBR on a bit of a roll now. A tactical timeout called, and this is the Twitch drone that we have seen so much about on the socials. It does so much damage.
If there's things there.
If there's things there to get rid of.
Yeah, they've picked it back up. Maybe they're going to throw it on a different location there to see if they can take out that disc, that cover of anything long range. But look at this, Reduct already in on the door of Janitors, seeing if he can find a fight, but one was not to be found, so tucks himself in and goes on the drone. Once again, MIBR are doing this big, wide control game. They're making sure that they have an idea of where they want to take and put pressure, and yeah, okay, the past 2 rounds, the total time left when they go for that diffuser plant is still together under 30 seconds, but it's 2 successes and they can build behind that phase. They've obviously taken their time out. It's the first time this series we've seen a team take theirs off of the back of a loss.
Yeah, and that might be a bit of a worry, because that means there is definitely something that needs to be fixed. Now, Magnets are picking up these grenades, and Deal small amounts of damage here and there, but nothing quite as substantial to the flooring or its protection, as this is a yellow ping to come through. Reduct is hoping to go for a chase, and as FaZe just strikes, it's Astro with a triple kill that opens it up, but Reduct again is starting to come back. Astro outside, however, with that diffuser, could have already locked off this round here.
It was the jump out. It was the jump out. He took himself out, whether it was from a window or from the door, either way. You said it at the start, it wasn't a success for them before, but it was an absolute freebie, a feast and a fiesta for FaZe there on the windows. And you heard the woo on the back, and Cyber heard Felipox on the front. Reduct is all that's left. A little bit lost here. The diffuser hasn't been able to make any presence or growth into the site, and that game there, that attempt to find the fight a little bit later. Well, FaZe, obviously, they have been able to come into this with a huge title from the year already under their belt.
Yeah, they have won the previous major here in Sweden, so I guess they might just really like the air around here.
Love a bit of Sweden FaZe, don't they?
Play even better than they normally do. And now they need an extra round to make top 3 of the 6th Invitational 2022. Is this the moment where MIBR's dream run ends? They have been in Sweden the longest of any single player, any single team at this event to date. Is this where their dream ends? Is this where FaZe comes in victorious and takes away that win and top 3 placement in the SI?
Here it is, MIBR. Here is that final challenge from all the ones you've surmounted before. It starts once again with this big clear, this big impression of being able to pull as much of the FaZe players as possible at the same time. Felipox, he's driven himself close. He's inside Tellers, but Cameraman is elsewhere, and Reduct has been bitten early on, and he has been a big force for the team throughout this map so far. Felipox is still curious about what he might find here, but FaZe are offering him nothing. So it requires a little rebalancing, a little bit of a retake and a setup here across the top. They're trying to find Cyber. Locked in on the front desk, ready to check him in and probably check him out just as fast. The pings are coming through and the grenades, they're about to follow not long after. There's a hop over the top of Banana. Escapes the first grenade. It seemed like a couple of traces and Raps as the lock-in. Saw the first go by and I don't think he was quite sure where they were either.
Didn't respond to that, indeed. And MIBR, they have a tall ask now, because these last 9 rounds, every single time a team got the opening kill, they got the round in the end as well. Of course, they have a trade now. It is back on a 4-on-4. But FaZe need to hold them for 70 more seconds if they want to lock this off. The castle barricade gets opened up here. Astro will be receiving some pressure here. Souls and Cameraman are on the backside, whereas Bullet is protecting the bottom of the square area. It is MIBR that needs to find an opening, and they need to use these heart breachers to open up the hatches if they want to go for a drop. But it's not going to be very likely as long as Astro is in his current position, as long as he's allowed to stay alive. It is a sledge that now needs to open up above. It is verticalities that are being made even with exothermics. The timer keeps on ticking down. 35 seconds to go.
Now, they were so good at locking the door last time here, and this time they've got at least 2 extra players to ensure they keep it locked much tighter. The kit is currently sitting around the top of stock, hoping to hit that hatch, but they've got to try and do a little bit more body work and busy work. It's a swing round, and the Malusian Pillars wins out, and Bullet drifts to some freedom. They rotate underneath, and suddenly it's only a couple of seconds left. It's just about to go single digits. We are just about to see a hot drop on the corner hatch, caught out by Astro. Makes the diffuser cold. One more. And I said they locked the door, and they ensured they slammed it shut. FaZe Clan, they take this. They find themselves moving forward to the lower bracket final. MIBR made them work for it, and they may have come into this as the lowest seed, but they are leaving with their heads held so